subscribe.
The Angry Ops Guy podcast, featuring Mike and Christina, pushing the ops machine forward no matter the grind. Real talk, real stories, and hard truths from two battle-tested pros.
Welcome to the Angry Ops Guy podcast. I get to have the pleasure of talking to the one and only Angry Ops Guy every week. We are, I was going to say proud operations managers, but I'm not.
Nothing proud at all about what we do.
We're loud. We're loud, maybe not proud, but we're getting there. And Mike, why are we doing this? Why are we together?
I made an offside comment at a convention that spearheaded into someone saying should be an idea to pursue. And here we are a week and a half later trying to build something fun for the network and keeping me out of therapy.
It's true. I feel like we've only seen each other in person, like 3 times now?
Isn't it amazing how we're best friends after only three endeavors together?
But I think that's because you said to me, sitting in that lobby bar, it's like, this is maybe our origin story too. We don't get a chance to connect with each other because ops and life and all the things. And so how do you make time? Well, you have to make time, but here's an excellent way where we get to make time to make each other laugh and to share our ops stories, stay connected, but also, maybe share some wisdom or experience or shit.
And aren't we the best to do it?
We are. I think so. We've survived.
Well, at least we got 2 followers, me and you.
And we're both on blood pressure medication. So
yes, we are on blood pressure medication. Why? Because ops raises blood pressure. So does obesity. But that's nothing on the topic for today because Mrs. Pilarski has already worked out. She's eating popcorn.
It's true. Okay, Mike, I don't necessarily know your origin story of ops. Why did you do this to yourself? How did you get here? You obviously, maybe you were born an ops manager. I'm not sure.
Oh no, not at all. This is a fun story, but
This is where people get their popcorn. Get your popcorn out.
Like I said, in a nutshell, I went to school for multimedia design back when that was a thing, which is basically a pretty name for you're going to learn a little bit about everything, and then as soon as you get out of college, all of it's going to be obsolete. And then got into the industry with another agency that was local or relative to where I lived at the time. Spent a couple of years there and then got caught in the economic recession of 2008 and prostituted myself for any interview I could get. There's a visual.
As you do.
And all I came out with was a bunch of rejections and being defeated. And then I had to sell my car rims to have $40 in my bank account. And then what?
That is such a elder millennial boy thing to say.
So I sold my rims, and then I went to the guy that used to be in my car club who was in the graphic design business. He has a shop out in Markham, Ontario. Shout out to Perry Anuzzi. He's still around doing his stuff at Rapworks. Hey, Perry. I went to buy some parts off him and some headlights, and then he said, "What are you doing, Mikey?" And I said, "I'm unemployed." Like that money that I had to sell my rims for to basically eat and give my parents some money for rent, I then was putting back into buying headlights and other things for a car. So you could see where my priorities were. And then I said to him, "Man, I've been to 40 interviews the last year and I can't find anything and stuff." And he goes, "I know, what are you doing?" I'm like, "Web design primarily." He goes, "I know a company right down the street." He goes, "Their website is simplifytheinternet.com. The owner's name is Peter. And at the time his partners were Max and Lionel. And he said, fill out the contact form, throw my name in the hat and see what you can do." Well, I went home and I did it. And I got a phone call within 2 days.
Wow.
So this gets better. So do you think unemployed Mike, who's starving, do you think he actually said, thank you so much, I'll go for an interview? I picked it up and they said to me, do you want to come in for an interview? I said, yeah, sure. Went over, met with the partners at the time because Peter was in Europe, but doing Europe things. And they offered me $12 an hour, 3 days a week to travel from Whitby, Ontario to Markham, which if anybody knows, it's at least about 45 minutes on a good day. And I obnoxiously said no, because I'm better than that. You think you are? I'm the one that has no job, but I'm going to say no. So I said no. And then I struggled for another 6 to 8 months, and to Commandex's credit, they called me back.
Wow.
And they woke me up at 11:30 in the morning because I was staying up all night because I had nothing to do.
Yeah.
And they woke me up before I was going to go to the Pizza Hut buffet with my buddy because that was my life at the time. Yes, we would make it every Friday. We would go to the Pizza Hut buffet and we would dismantle it. And there's another story there for another day about how an older lady got angry and almost in a fight with me over the cinnamon bun bites that I chose to take too many of. But we'll talk about that another day. That's a story in itself. You wonder why Jack calls me the buffet beast, for crying out loud. So yeah, they called me back and I went for another interview with a better mindset, knowing that I was desperate. At that time, I was desperate. Like my dad and mom did a lot to try to keep me on my feet during that, even though I maybe wasn't mature enough to attack employment. But it was, if these guys are going to offer me anything now, I'm going to take it. That was my internal thought. I have to. I have no money coming in, and this college is in the toilet, and where am I going to go? So went back and they said, well, we see a spot for you in the production team, and you're going to help build websites, and you're going to do this, and you're going to do that, and and I'm like, this sounds amazing. And they offered me a temporary contract for like 3 months. It was 5 days a week. Come to the office. Didn't care what the money was at the time. It was the opportunity because I had at that time the limit on my credit card was $2,000 and it had been maxed for a year. Think about having a credit card for $2,000 being maxed out, and I couldn't pay it down because I had no money. And that was the whole goal of getting hired, was I just needed to pay that credit card down. Here we are 15 years later.
That's wild.
So that's actually how I got into WSI Commandex. And the best part about that too is I didn't meet Peter. Everybody knows Peter. And he was in Europe. So then I go in for the first day thinking to see that these two brothers who bought into his business, and they were there and they greet me and stuff. But no, were they there the first day? No. So I come in overdressed, khakis, brown Dockers, loafer shoes,
Fancy.
tucked in golf shirt, looking all fancy and dapper. And there's a bunch of guys in t-shirts and jeans working at ops. So I'm overdressed. I'm uncomfortable. They don't have a station ready for me. They give me somebody's desk that, again, he either died, quit, or left. And I got a computer with everybody else's stuff on it in the front. And this was my first experience. And I'm sitting there thinking they're going to give me a computer. I got to have my own desk. So I'm like, here, just sit here. Okay. So that started. So then I have to meet Peter. Well, Peter isn't the Peter that you know now. Peter comes around the corner with his suit on. He's got this big mustache. He looks like he's right out of 1970. I have no idea who this man is. I'm Peter. I'm the owner. Okay. So what am I doing, Peter? I don't even think he knew he signed the documents to hire me.
Because he's a visionary.
Visionary. And we'll talk about why visionaries need integrators. And then in closing on that, I said, so what websites I'm going to be working on? He says, you're going to be my support coordinator. I'm like, what the hell does that mean? Yeah. Well, I have a hosting server and I have domains and I have clients that need support and email. And yeah, so I got hired to be in the web's op team, and I got stuck being an IT grunt doing hosting and email support in the days where people would call in and say, my emails are not downloading and working. And I'm trying to, through the phone, because we didn't have Zoom and we didn't have any of this type of connection, we would sit there and go, okay, open your Outlook and go to options. Where are the options? Now go to POP settings. What's POP? Read me what's there. And I would read people verbatim in my head exactly what they needed from the server settings. What's not working? That's how far back I go. There's going to be kind of a common theme here of how I've risen in the sense of accountability and leadership for Commandex has never been by my choice. It has been by Peter having the vision that I could do it, but then just no matter what I say to him, he just does the opposite. And for some reason, I'm stuck around for, well, I'll be 40 next year. So if you do the math, that's almost a third of my life.
Don't
There.
like that.
Well, the best part is I'm not being negative about it. I'm super proud of it, but that's the story is like a third of my life has been with Peter, and it has just been a roller coaster of where are we going and how do we get here. And now with your energy, we're going to talk about some of this so people know, that ops is ops and, everybody's got a story and hopefully we can showcase any more of them. So anyways, back to you for a minute. Tell me your story that's not as long-winded, as pathetic and male-centric as mine. What's your story for getting into ops management? Did you just wake up one day, put your pink glasses on and say, oh my God, I want to do this? What was your vision?
True. My vision was just to be alone. And
Well, what a mistake.
but it's fine. Like we do have very similar paths in terms of like the visionary Peters. So I like, okay, similar path in terms of like, did a communications degree. I mean, my focus is public relations. So I've always been able to spin what I need to spin. So yeah, communications degree, public relations, it's all great. My
Ew, so you're actually pursuing what you went to school for?
Well, kind of, but not really. I mean, if I never went to school for ops or business, or it took me, I would say, until maybe 2 years ago, not even to like actually call myself an entrepreneur.
Mhm.
Like it just wasn't who I thought I was, or I visioned, or I
We need to
so.
talk about that because that's going to be a cool story that, how long have you had CIPR now? Because I actually haven't ever asked you that.
So what's funny is, well, not maybe what's funny is CIPR next year turns 15.
Get out.
Which is crazy. So I started it in 2010 as like a pure side hustle thing. I
Mhm.
decided, okay, I'm going to go do a master's degree, which was a little bit crazy of me. And people are like, oh my God. But really, I just wasn't ready to grow up. I
Mhm.
wasn't ready, right? I did a bachelor's and then it was kind of scary, the real world. So I just kept doing school. But I had a job, obviously, on the side while I was in school, political
Know
job.
know what job stands for?
No.
Just over broke.
Just over broke, absolutely. And I needed a mechanism to do some side stuff. So all my research in my master's was about social media. So this is
Mhm.
like cue Obama.
Yep.
So that's when I was writing my thesis. That was the big thing. So I studied, okay, how are people using social media to get people excited about shit? And when does it work and when doesn't it work? So cool, great. And for me, it was I'm going to position myself right in the middle of communications and marketing, and it'll be a wonderful job and it'll be so great. Nobody knows about social media and I'll know everything. Yeah, say it.
How demoralizing was it to realize that you were not going to make a dent in anything?
Well, it's like, right? You go now into businesses and they're like, oh, we hired you to be the social media girl. And you're talking to people 25, 30 years older than you that have no idea what you're talking about, that don't have the, I don't know, balls to say, yeah, we should have a Facebook page. I went and worked for the oil and gas industry that were at the time just being slaughtered by Greenpeace, slaughtered by the environmental, like left wing,
That's a
army that
that,
was
that's a
online.
still a huge industry out in Western Canada where you are, right? Like I
Totally.
worked with years and years ago, worked for a couple of clients, oil and gas. So I have a little bit of familiar, not at your level, but oil and gas is huge out there. Like that dictates a lot out in the
Yeah.
like energy sector.
And like that, I loved that job. So, got through my master's, got into this oil and gas job, which was a very, got in because I knew social media, but
Mhm.
then weaseled my way around. Like, oh, I noticed that this, campaign that you're doing over here is lacking. Can I weasel myself in there? Or, oh, I noticed this website is really shitty. Can I write some content for it? So did the typical, millennial overachiever girl thing. Okay, I'm gonna do all this stuff and take on too much and whatever. I had a great boss though. She gave me enough rope to always do what I needed to do. Gave me a huge
Shout out the former boss.
former boss, Janet. She knows I shout her out all the time. In hindsight, here's like a little like
she's like Christina, who?
Christina, shut the fuck up. Side note, I never knew she was a great boss at the time, right? You view those individuals as, oh my God, they're giving me so much work. I don't know what I'm doing. And hindsight's always 2020, but I always look back and go, that's when I became a leader. That's probably when I became an ops manager, if I'm being honest, because all of a sudden I have people reporting to me. All of a sudden I'm managing $1 million budget. All of a sudden I have to make a spreadsheet and I'm going, oh, wait a second, like, what is this world? Then 2015, so I still have this like CIPR on the corner that's just kind of helping do some side contracts, some political stuff, whatever. 2015 comes, there's it's funny you talk about the 2008, 2015, the other downturn. So that was my kind of origin story there. Boss changed, new boss came in, new boss and I not aligned. He was bringing in his own people, all good. He became very clear to me.
You can say all good you want with that, but that is the biggest crock of shit when it comes to us now and why we're jaded as ops managers. And let's turn that for a moment into clients. Nothing worse for digital marketing agencies and ICs when you hear there's a new marketing director coming in, because right away your account, your retainer, your term is basically going to be canceled within the next 3 to 6 months, because there comes the dog and pony show of that new person, dictating their worth to the higher ups that hired them. And then the good people like us and our agencies that have powered these businesses into revenue growth and profit and so forth, then just chop us at the knees. That drives me nuts. And it's such a trend in today's world of you hearing that new person comes in and you can literally say right now, okay, that's going to be off the books and we got to go find it. And it's the worst.
Well, and I always say there's two types of people in these situations. People who work with agencies. I mean, this is probably in life, people who get it and don't get it. Mm-hmm. But like people who get that the agency is there to make you look good, not to take your job. Like, sorry.
Exactly. Like all these marketing directors, if you want to paint them into a silo, we're going to build our own team and we're going to hire from within. And so with the amount of money you pay an agency per month, no matter how high it is, you are getting basically your own entire team working on exactly what you want them to work on. So why are you rippling that? Because look, you might be spending, for example, let's just do a high number. You might be spending $5,000 to $10,000 a month, and I'm being very reasonable.
Yeah.
And then you're going to go hire 3 people at an average salary of, let's say, $65,000 to $85,000, depending on their skill set and requirements.
Plus, you have to manage them. Plus, you have to manage them, and you have to teach them,
and you have to try to figure out and vet them, and whatever. And then you've got 5 years with an agency that knows you and knows everything about you, both personally and professionally, and is getting up every morning to support you.
Yeah.
But like, no, it's like do the math on that. $5,000 times 12.
Yeah.
What is that, by the way?
60.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you. And I'm the one putting out quotes and saying that we're profitable.
You got a spreadsheet for that.
You got a spreadsheet. I got a custom GPT just to do math.
But it's true. I mean, I think because we probably should give people some operational tips.
No.
For me,
this is our podcast. You'll get the tips once you subscribe.
To our one subscriber,
Emily, who's clipping and cutting this.
Make a note. I always say to every project manager, it's like you need to find your champion within the company. And the champion is not the person you talk to every day and you are dealing with every day. It is maybe
it's the person when they're in that meeting with the marketing director and the boss, and the marketing director says, we're going to get rid of Christina. And that person's like, you can't get rid of Christina.
Exactly. And sometimes
you need an ally from within, because if you don't,
adios muchacho. Yeah. And sometimes it's, I think about one client where leadership changed. This was, I don't know, past probably 12 months, 18
Mhm.
months. We work with her every day, but leadership changed. So now you got leadership exactly asking questions. And she goes, she's perfect. You would get along with her quite well. She would, did you know our fucking website went down this weekend? And they were like, no, what are you talking about? She's like, neither did I until I talked to Christina on Tuesday, who told me, actually, Emily, shout out to Emily,
Shout
was
out, Emily.
on it all weekend, figuring out what was wrong and getting it back up. And that's why we pay them. And I don't really feel like having to onboard someone new. And actually, like, you don't pay me enough to figure out that shit on a weekend.
Christina, what a statement and what a punchline that applies to everybody in WSI or even outside WSI is exactly that. You're not buying grunts, you're not buying service. The value proposition is that you have people to take care of the shit that you don't know, you don't want to deal with. And most of these people have also had a really bad experience, whether it's from corporate life or other agencies, where my website's down. I submitted a ticket. Nobody's responded. Nobody's picking up. My website's down. I'm running $100,000 a month in ads. What's going on? And they're sitting in the dark, lost. So if you find an agency, and I'm going to say this from day one here, and however it gets used in this podcast and others, is everybody, we are not suppliers.
No.
Suppliers is an inside word within the network of people that work for other people, and that's fine. But when we talk to customers or we talk to employees, we are strategic partners, and that's what you're buying, and that's what you're investing in, is a strategic partner. And if you can get in there and get yourself sticky in the point of their hosting, domain renewals, web design, web development, PR, SEO, PPC, whatever goddamn tactics it is, make yourself sticky to the point where that person is going to sweat at the thought of trying to rip the heart out of their digital marketing, which is you.
Yeah.
That's the mindset you have to be able to try to drive the narrative, because we are in a commodity centric business.
Yeah.
Everybody thinks that we sit in our underwear in our basements with our glasses and pizza boxes, and we're just web guys that just go ahead, haha, look at us.
It's true.
That's not what we are.
No.
Everybody thinks they can do what we do. So how are we going to stand out? And right there's the first thing. I am not your goddamn supplier. I am not your little web guy. I am your strategic digital marketing partner that is here to help grow your business with you. Try that in your next sales meeting with confidence, and I guarantee you somebody's shoulders will go back and they'll lean in and be more invested, because you have to set yourself out from the rest. And then it doesn't matter what you produce. It doesn't matter what else you say, as long as you can back it up with your reputation, your knowledge, and your humility.
But going back to, like, okay, what is the job of ops? I mean, we have so many jobs and tasks and whatever, and choose your own adventure.
Okay, so I'm gonna ask you first. What's your definition of ops or ops manager? If you had to sum it up on the top of your head quickly, what is an ops manager? Having CIPR for 15 years and being in the industry, I'm assuming, for a few more. What is an ops manager to you, being that person and the hell you've been through to build a successful agency that can support your family, support ownership, and ultimately give you purpose? What is it?
Keeping the engine going. I know it sounds stupid, but it's like you are you're the core, you're the, I don't want to say heart because that seems wild, but like you are the core. Like, why do I get no work done in a day? Why do I get nothing done? Because internally and externally, everyone is coming to me because they know I can solve a problem, or they know I can empower them to solve a problem, or they know I can, right? There is this, you are the town square of your business. You are the place where
trying to sell this to THO for advanced training day next year to tell people how they should invest in being an ops manager. Like, let's take the lipstick off the pig for a minute. And this is where I'll compliment you. Okay, so you're the heartbeat. You're this, you're that, you're whatever. No, you're the firefighter.
It's okay.
You're the firefighter. You're the glue.
You're the 911.
You are the logical person that says that most of the shit that people throw at you daily is nonsense.
Yeah.
And it's not gonna hold on. My MS Teams is going off here. Clearly somebody is not paying attention.
Ops. You're an ops.
Get out of here. It's already burning. We'll burn some more.
Yeah, you're a fireman, remember?
Fireman, glue.
You're the 911 call. You're the one call in the jail. When your team gets into jail, who are they going to call? They're going to call you.
Team, clients, friends, family. I think, my mind goes in a different direction. Even what you said is perfect, is you need, it's not who you are. We're making fun of who we are to put humor into it. But what it truly is you are, and you need to be that person that they want to call in the moment of weakness, stress, frustration, because they know through your reputation, the proof of concept of your work, the accountability that you said to commit to support their growth and deadlines, that they can trust you.
Mm-hmm.
And if they trust you, then it does not matter of the small issues with performance data, the issues with technology breaking or a website going down. That's all noise. If they trust you, those are just hiccups in building the relationship, no different than building a personal one where, again, the roller coaster of marriage, and one day you hate each other and the next day you love each other. But that's the same partnership you have with your clients. And the biggest difference is they're spending 5 figures a month with you, and you want them to continue to do that for years versus months.
Yeah. I mean, the trust factors. My favorite exit
What's your favorite thing? Is it trust? Is it empathy? Or is it transparency?
None. My favorite comment in an exit interview about me was they were like asking, okay, like what, tell us about your boss, like blah, blah, blah. And they described me as tough, but fair.
It's funny you say that. Peter, in his I speak 4 languages. And by the way, my whole career has been giving Peter the right context of words because he uses them wrong. And then he comes to me and I'm Peter's thesaurus. Let's do that again for Emily. Thesaurus, because apparently I have a stuttering problem. Shout out to Audio Eye and Accessibility for accessibility needs. If you have a stuttering problem, we have a widget for you.
62% of us need it.
Can we talk about that for a minute? Because now we have to say that we're not better than anybody else. And let me tell you why. So Mrs. Pilarski decides to sit next to me. She's not paying attention at all. She's sitting there drawing something about empathy or kids or whatever else. I'm sitting there demanding the microphone to ask accessibility questions to Accessibility because I do understand accessibility. I've built sites for accessibility before we had these wonderful pieces of technology. Well, the lovely lady, do you remember what the lady's name? It sounds terrible,
Jessica.
but Jessica. Shout out to Jessica. She's a smart lady. And I'm looking forward to meeting her and seeing how we can leverage accessory. That's a cool product. But she
supposed to invite me to that meeting, by the way.
Yeah, absolutely. So she's up there and she's playing one of those quizzes that we all interact with. And the first one, and remember, again, setting this up, I've actually built AA compliant websites from scratch with our team. And it is the dog's breakfast of web development. It is so hard. We'll talk about it another day when we want to just bury this podcast in the ground. But I know this stuff. I know how to talk about it, sell it, position it. She puts up there, what's the percentage of people in North America that have a disability? And there's like, put in whatever number you want. This goes to show you why I barely got out of high school, is because multiple choice or choose your adventure was not my forte. So I said, let's go high. It's a trick question. So I may have implied that 62% of North America has a disability. And then she puts it up there and everybody's like 7%, 14, and there's one, and then of course she calls it out. She's like, who, 62 or 64%. I put my hand up. The guy that's been asking every actual question about accessibility. So right there, I threw in my entire intelligence out the window because clearly I don't know what the fuck I'm talking about. Welcome to ops management. You are the glue. You are the firefighter. Your job is just to make sure shit doesn't completely break because you are already broken, and that is ops.
We're already broken.
You are already broken inside. You are that. You're outside. You're trying to be bold and approachable. And oh my God, Mike, I'd love to work with your business. And inside, I am crying.
But that's why you have empathy, because you're broken. So now you can help fix it. See, You are empathetic.
Well, if you wait for one of my other stupid little songs to drop, I talk about empathy. And one thing with this ops guy, there is no goddamn empathy. I don't have any empathy. Pay your bill. Pay on time. My accounts receivables is too high because you don't understand that 30-day payment terms. Oh, Mike, can you send us all these invoices again? We
No.
sent them to your AR. Why? Why do I have to organize things for you when they're automatically sent out? Because and then I have to do it again. And well, what's this mean? And why did you do this? You know exactly what we're doing. We've been working with you for 5 years. Just tell your accounting person to pay the damn bill. And by the way, ICs, get credit cards. I
Yeah.
cannot stress this enough. Do not do blind trust that checks are coming. Do not do, oh, the money's coming or whatever else. No, I need your credit card because I dictate when I get paid.
Well, and that's a whole episode in terms of like
No
when to stop
kidding.
work, right? Like, but when to stop work too. Because maybe you have someone and you've been doing work and you're excited and all of a sudden the invoices stop being paid. Like, there's a whole conversation we need to have there. And
Oh,
story.
and just and trust me, everybody, minus one and Emily, we are going to talk about that because that is a big problem for ICs and agencies of larger scale. Is they depend on that money coming in. Let's not kid ourselves. None of us are sitting there just going, oh, we've got tens of thousands of dollars in the bank. We live, every 2 weeks in the sense of waiting for that recurring income to come in.
Yeah.
And then, for example, the credit card doesn't go through. Then all of a sudden, oh, we're waiting on another one. Oh, give us another month. And then all of a sudden they pull out of your contract and now you're 4 months behind on accounts receivables and then they disappear. And then now you got to write that off as bad debt.
Yeah. No,
And it's happened way too many times, and it happened to us last year, unfortunately. And the positive out of it is not that we lost the client and not that we lost the money that we were owed. The positive is that we learned from it, and it's never going to happen again.
exactly.
And
Yeah.
that's something we're going to talk about here as we have tons of different topics and make it all relatable back, is stories that are real to let people know that this shit has happened. But really, what is the outcome in a practical way that helps us as agencies and ICs get better? Because if we don't talk about weakness, if we don't talk about issues, if we don't talk about Mike and Christina fucked up,
Yeah.
then that's not real digital marketing. So you can sit there and say, well, do this and do that, and you'll be successful. But the truth of it is, this job is painful. And painful doesn't mean to demoralize people. Painful is the reality that, it's all not just, go sell something and then it's done. Fulfillment is an animal in itself.
Yeah.
So we're going to look at it a little bit of a different way. We're going to look at it, what's the reality of getting this shit out and what does it mean? And if you put Christina and mine's experience together, we've got north of 30 plus years experience, the two of us. We got a lot of knowledge and we've been through a lot of wars and a lot of late nights and a lot of moments where you quietly break in your own dark basement where you're just going like, I can't deal with this. And those are important things to talk about and reflect on, because the ops people are unsung heroes, but also franchise owners are unsung heroes, and everybody is struggling with whatever they are struggling with. And maybe this stupid idea that came out of a joke provides a medium or therapy to just know that we are a network and we are common people. And these stories can help you not make the same mistakes, because that's the way we can pay it forward, truly, is to share our mistakes so that James or John, the new guy that just bought an agency and is full of piss and vinegar and energy and excitement, can have a better toolkit to navigate those pivotal first couple of months, first couple of years outside of WSI training, so that they can survive versus making the same mistakes we made. And fortunately, we're still here.
It's true. I mean, I'm very grateful, and I'm sure you are too, that
No,
people look to us for advice.
not at all. Not at all.
No, don't call Mike anymore.
No, not at all.
But right, and even you, this past convention, you're up there on the stage talking about ops. I think people see us and go, "Wow, ops! They know ops." And there's lots of other incredible people in this network that are looked to from that. But I say, yeah, I have great policy because every policy document was written after a time I fucked up.
Yeah.
or somebody else fucked up, but really because I did, because they should have known, because I should have taught them, or there should have been something in place to stop, right? Like it's the why coffee lids say caution hot is because, some idiot didn't know that the coffee was hot and it spilled on themselves and now they got to put it there.
And I'll sit there in the corner with a disability thinking that 62% of North America needs accessibility.
Oh boy.
The only guy in the room that legitimately knows from an ops standpoint, and I shouldn't say that's not fair because I don't know some of the rumors there, but like I can at least know that I'm one of the more educated people of building accessibility compliant websites. And I answered the question at 62 or 64%. And I was not drinking. I was not under the influence of anything. And you got the real mic in work hours. And I just showed how really stupid I am.
But you know what? I think that's like we're in ops, so we think that people do have it gets a very legitimate answer for an ops person.
Well, we could segue into how much it started to take to record this thing. We couldn't even figure out how to get sound feedback out of the way, get everybody included. So, point being is, it's like I think we need some accessibility in our life because clearly we can't follow basic instructions.
It's true. Someone's let us.
How do screen bigger? Why is the font small? I can't see anything you've done in the design. What do you mean you can't see? I'm colorblind. Well, you should have told me that in the kickoff meeting. How am I supposed to be expressive of your brand if all you see is grays and black? Like, these are things we need to know. We're going to talk about that in kickoff meetings and what you really have to ask.
Yeah, like the time the lady told me she didn't like triangles. Yeah, that was what she gave me to go on.
And she was a local pizzeria. Christina's like, how am I going to spin this shit?
Only
Yeah.
circles, only circles. Okay, Mike, we are going to talk about lots of different things together. We're going to tackle.
Well, we've been talking about some randomness and stories, which is the vibe what we're going to do, but maybe we should talk a little bit about what the intent. We talked about the intent of the podcast, but what's to come? What are we expecting? What do we feel? So I guess I'll start and then you feed in, please, because you got a very different vision than I do, which is cool. And that's why I think we're going to complement each very well. But like I said, what you can expect on this is an honest take with a little sense of humor, with your common ops people of, Christina said it best when we were laughing about this over at Tequila Shot. Literally, we've seen each other 3 times in 2.5 years. I have maybe had screen time, maybe an hour with her, and we were sitting down catching up, and she's like, we need to do a pod. I told her about this podcast idea that came alive. She goes, we got to do it. And she goes, armchair expert with Dax Shepard, I'm your Monica. But that's the feel that we actually are going to try to represent here, but in a digital marketing, practical, humorous way. It's a conversation. It's kind of download this or watch this with your friends, like you're in the living room having a hoot at convention or regionals where we're a little bit unhinged and not so proper. But the key thing, I think, to let everybody know, so they're saying not like, oh, these two are just, or Mike's just feeding his ego, which I'm going to say that right now. We're not feeding our ego. We're building something here to have fun with, to be therapy. I'm not kidding. Therapy for each other, therapy for others that are having just a rough day, a bad meeting, a client canceled, but also a resource of education and experience that is going to hopefully give a different spin while complementing the WSI vision and the network and a lot of the foundational pieces that the Peter Jasnewskis and Chris Murray and Lori McCullough, Neil Lappy, Francois, Chuck Bankoff, and et cetera, the originals, the OGs, carved out for us. And now we're going to drop a grenade in the middle of the room and just cause some chaos.
Yeah, as a millennial would.
Because we all have ADHD. I can't, as you can see by even this waffling, I can't stay on track with anything. And that's why we also agreed when we were putting this together that this must be real and raw. It's raw doesn't mean to be rude. It doesn't mean to be disrespectful. It doesn't mean to make fun of anybody in the sense of belittling or demoralizing. But raw means pull no punches, no polish, get to know us a little bit better versus the people you see on the stage once a year, or you see on a webinar to talk about a success story, and invite you into our living room to just shoot the shit once a week about something that's actually important to you, whether that's AI, digital marketing, web development, business management, EOS, funny stories over the years that all are interrelatable. But the key thing, at least for me, and then I'm going to shut up and I want to hear what your thoughts and feelings are, is what's really important to me is it does tie back to the purpose of actually being practical information and practical insights that tie back to the things that we're dealing with every day in digital marketing, plus now the infusion of AI. So so there's going to be humor, but it's always going to have a point or a theme or a topic that we're going to get to that ties it all back into why it's important for you guys, no matter the size and scale of your agency. That's what I want people to know, at least in how far we've gotten this in a week. But Christina, again, you're very different than I am. So what's your thoughts? And as soon as I brought this up, why did you go off on a mission to just be the catalyst to get this going?
Oh, good question. I mean, what you really just said there was like you made a long form version of embrace digital, stay human.
Hmm.
But like that is what this is about. Like I roll for sure, but like this to me is about stay human. And whenever I do training, which people have seen me do, and all the things, I tell my stories because we're human, we're social creatures. We learn by, oh, remember that story. Remember that thing that someone else, like I have learned a lot over the years because of, like we already said, places that I've screwed up or I didn't have line of sight on or I lost sight on. And it's like, I'm going to share those stories. Like, even when I do media training, it's about all the times I fucked up in the media. And that's what made me great at media. And so, same with
But
off.
think about how relatable what you just said is to anybody, whether it's a customer, a staff member, or even your family. Is how do people learn? People learn by other people being vulnerable to say, I fucked up, because then you get invested, because then it's relatable to you because you fucked up or
Yeah.
you had the same problem. So again, everybody wants to talk about their success stories, and those are absolutely imperative to have, because you need to have the chase the goal and believe that you can replicate Neil Lappy's model. And shout out to Neil, because again, he's figured it out, man, and he's still pushing to go harder. But on the other side of it is the vulnerability of the stories, and the pain to get there is what everybody can understand at whatever size and scale or comfort level they are.
Well, that's true. And I think, sharing those stories, but then also I'm going to go back to the power of the network. Why am I doing this? Because of this, being able to talk to someone who is where I am. And when I was not, I had an agency before WSI. We came in and to add services to our offering, to, give it the super juice to be able to do what we do. But I never had anyone that was going through what I was going through. I was alone, very sad, cue the sad, depressing music, but I was alone. It's like, fuck, why did I do this? Why did I leave a nice corporate job? And now, to your point, like when it's just me and Peter, so me and this other guy who, happened to share a life, and now it's like we're eating what we kill.
Or happened to share a vehicle with you when you were hitchhiking on the side of the road in Alberta, but that's another story. He's like, hey, you want to take a psychometric test? You're like, sure. Now you got 2 babies into business, rocking and rolling, man.
Right? But it's like I never had a colleague. I never had a you. I never could walk into a room and go, oh my God, there's Cynthia, there's Denise, there's Mike who get it, who work with someone who is also visionary and throwing all these crazy ideas, who have to service and keep all these other people happy, who are trying to grow and meet goals, and for me, it was like, finally, like it was like just this breath of fresh air that's like, oh, like I do have colleagues. I don't go out for Friday drinks at downtown Calgary anymore, but now I have this. So for me, it's like whether
And so that concept from you is what we're also bottling into this, is exactly that, is instead of only seeing each other, or let's call it the relatable people that is your circle, once you have the chance. Again, convention is absolutely that, Regionals are a fractional thing of that, but still very rewarding. But other than that, we don't get together through the year. So this podcast can be us getting together on the couch once a week, whether you're listening to it 10 o'clock at night on a Friday, 6 a.m. in the morning when you're at the gym and just need something different to navigate the day versus music. Or you could listen to it during your work day in the background just to lighten it up a little bit while you're banging out the worst RFP ever that you didn't want to do in the first place, but you need the money because MSF is due, and you better make sure you got some money in the bank.
There you go. But that's why I'm here.
Well, that's what we're gonna. That's what we're gonna do here, and we're gonna try. And some of the ideas we've got tons of ideas and topics already based on themes and stuff. We are building almost a custom GPT to make it understand this podcast and other things that I want to do that bake in my personality and this jaded ops manager style of looking at things so that we can be creative in different things. Some of you may have seen some of these, goofball songs I've dropped already in Workplace. There's more of those coming, and there's tons of stories behind those, which Christina is going to have some fun exploiting out of me, because that's the real fun of digital marketing, is how I've been able to put my thoughts and experiences and humor into songs now. But the real punchline here is I have learned more about AI in the last week building 3 goddamn songs than I've understood about AI in the last year since Dan Monahan and Valerie went up on stage basically saying this is the next step of digital marketing. And that's why we're going to talk about it practically, because WSI head office has got a good handle on the vision. They got a good handle on how to sell it and do strategy. But us ops guys and gals are the ones that got to fulfill it. So let's tie that with how to practically do it. Yeah. And how rewarding would that be to get insights? Again, it's not the how to do it, the why and the what.
Yeah.
And just give you a different perspective on how to want to leverage this, not be afraid of it, because I was afraid of it for a year. I'm the angry ops guy, and people see me in the network, in my own agency with Peter and some of my closest friends, that you're the ops tech guy, and that's the biggest compliment. And I've been afraid of AI for a year. We'll talk about that in another episode, but I've been afraid of it. And since convention and coming home with this random idea, what I have learned and how much my brain hurts in a good way of feeling like I'm actually creative, I think it's really going to spearhead things for Commandex, CIPR, others, and hopefully we'll have something that resonates with you when the time comes. But, embrace digital, stay human. Nah. Embrace Doritos, stay fat.
And there you have it, folks. There you have it.
So Christina, I think we've said a lot about nothing here, and we've got plenty to share, and there's going to be more stuff rolling out, but we wanted to try to get this first one in the bag to make you understand why we're doing it, get a little bit more about us. But we got to wrap this up because you have done nothing for the last couple of hours, and my emails are overloading right now. So Christina, did we solve anything?
Nope.
Okay. See you next week.
Good luck, buddy.
This angry ops guy just needs to unplug.
Here we go again.
Okay, side note. In grade 12, I had a boyfriend. Amazing. Which, if you knew me in grade 12, maybe that was amazing of me.
Can we talk some point on this podcast about what we both looked like in grade 12? Because I've got stories about myself that are not pretty.
He comes, and I lived far from my high school, so my MO was always a guy who drove because I needed to not take the bus home. Anyways.
Nice. So you told him that you liked him so you could use him for transportation.
He drives up one day, parks in front. He's like, I got to show you my new rims. He's parked outside. He comes, I got to show you my new rims. I go outside. I'm like, wow, that's great. But I have no idea. 17-year-old Christina has no idea what rims are. So I'm just looking at his car going, those are great. Great. Excellent. Anyways, was my rim story.
My rims in 2008 were black rims on a modified 2000. No, I wanted one. My dream car in high school was getting an 89 Honda Civic CRX, or was it? No, there's the DX, the 3-speed. That didn't happen. So I was the fortunate owner of a 2002 Nissan Sentra that I dumped thousands of dollars in to modify and be cool, just to realize 20 plus years later that you weren't cool. You were obnoxious and annoying. And now when I sit on my front porch after work decompressing, I'm that guy that yells at people, slow down and stop having a goddamn muffler that is too loud. So, but guess what? I still modify cars because that's me. The inner fat boy doesn't go anywhere.
No, that millennial boy.
We're going to talk about that former boyfriend. Now I understand why you met Peter Pilarski. So your drug is to find people for transportation, and thus then you married someone that has the bug for tourism, and you're like, you know what? Look at this journey. Here we go.
I never put that together, but it does make sense. We can talk about when Peter had a motorcycle and rolled up to my parents' house the first time he met them with a motorcycle.
That's all, folks.